about it.
Well, let us know what was the inspiration for the gameplay?
I mean, I feel like the idea was really just came from the title. Because, you know, we did the random title rolls and we got Ultraviolent Demon Summoner. And the team lead came up with the idea. He just like immediately thought of like a rhythmic game. And originally we were gonna have something a little different. Yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of how it ended up this way. Because like it was sort of like me translating his ideas into like screenshots and stuff, and then it ended up here.
So when there's these two in a row, do you just kind of go for one first?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. There's no order.
So hard. Yeah, I remember playing this game in the beginning. It was like, oh, this is really easy.
Yeah.
And now it's really hard.
Yeah, that was one like that was some feedback that we decided to apply, and I think we might have overshot it.
It looks really good. Does it? Can you actually summon the demon after a while?
Yeah. When the song ends, you either get like a crappy demon or like a well-formed demon.
Oh god, this is so ridiculously difficult.
You might get the crappy demon.
I got it. It's really interesting that like you can play this game just by focusing on one little glyph at a time.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a game of finding out where's that glyph.
Yeah, that's the droopy demon.
It's still pretty terrifying.
It's pretty cool. I really like it. I only wish the song and the glyphs somehow like synced up and made like a cool sound effect or something. But
yeah,
it's pretty interesting gameplay. I don't think I've seen it like this before.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
If I have enough time to play it. So
Yeah, I mean,
try to get the
give it a shot.
Yeah.
Give it a shot.
Okay.
Try with the mouse though.
Oh.
Oh shit! I'm gonna be embarrassed now.
Wicked.
Depends on how long. Yeah, for every frame that you work with,
Oh, so pro. That is one thing with this game. I don't know how it could be improved, but the fact that it becomes a pattern, like a find where this pattern is game.
Yeah.
Not so much like rotate and scale. But it's definitely challenging. Like don't get me wrong. Ridiculous. Yeah, for sure. She's pro at it, so you know.
So is it go on for eternity? Is there a...
No, this will stop. I don't think it's synced to the song correctly right now. We changed the
I
song
see.
last night.
Whoa!
Yeah, woo!
There we go. That's sufficiently terrifying.
I mean, for you guys coming late and putting up a game like this, alright, complete and pretty awesome, that's a great accomplishment. So, congrats.
Woo!
Alright.
Hmm?
Did you guys make the music?
No.
No.
That would be awesome if we could. I mean, we're going to continue to work on this. So.
I would recommend trying to reach out to Drew. He's not here right now.
Yeah.
He's awesome to work with.
Really?
Yeah,
he is awesome. He gave us free music.
Yeah,
Really?
he pumped out like 10 tracks on...
Yeah, he put out like 3 tracks within like 3 days, and he's got a concert he's going to now. He's really good at. He did the sound effects for our game too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when you hear the voices and all that, he actually had a voice actor. He modified it and everything. Yeah, he's crazy.
Awesome.
So I'd reach out to him.
Okay.
It's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Any other questions?
How did you come up with the art style?
It was sort of what I could do quickly. Was sort of the form factor for it. Like, what can I do really fast and make it look pretty good? So it was like pixel art was where I went, and I guess that's just how I work in pixel art.
Cool. All right.
Woo!
I think we're gonna do Team Nice Nice next. You want to bring in someone to play the game, or do you want me to? All right, cool.
I don't want you to embarrass yourself for the.
Yeah. Appreciate that.
I think the next game dev should be called Game Jam Nice Nice.
So our game is Underground Elevator Syndicate. Basically, turns out lizard people actually control all the elevator operations of the world. So you play as a lizard man who's trying to serve all these patrons without them getting paranoid that lizard people actually control the elevators. I guess like the basics. You move the elevator up. People go in your elevator. They tell you where they want to go, and you take them there. And then you get like graded based on how well you do, or how close you get to these little thresholds. And then there's spiders that come up and they try and destroy the elevator. And if your elevator loses all its health, it crashes down to the bottom. And these lizard guys down here who are enjoying a nice cup of water have to walk over there and repair it.
So you didn't voice Nice Nice?
Oh, I did all the voice acting.
But you didn't voice Nice Nice?
No, I voiced Nice Nice. There's a Nice Nice.
Oh, okay.
I can promise you that.
Oh God.
So the spiders, what do they have to do with the lizard people? This is something new to me.
So they're just a mythical being, probably controlled by the mole men. The mole men were actually something we were going to add in. They were going to come in from the top and try and cut down the elevator, but we didn't have time to do that, so we just have spiders for now.
So mythical spiders, this is a mixture of fact and fiction?
No, it's all fact. It's just, you're too deluded to realize what's going on.
Alright.
I really love how the point of the game is to make people not believe there's lizard people. But if the elevator crashes with people inside, the lizard people just come in, they're like fixing it up, and people are just like, what's taking so long?
You gotta realize that us humans are just, deluded. We don't understand what's going on. We don't observe our surroundings.
Not to mention there's monkeys in the way.
But like one of the big themes we were going for was
Realism.
yeah, realism. But some of the ideas we had for enemies, like there was a troll. He was just like this dude in a suit, but he had like troll teeth and everything. And you just go in the elevator and like push everyone else out. Then we had the mole men. So it's just like a general like conspiracy, like mythical beast type thing. Where people are just too stupid to realize what's going on around them.
Fantastic. Not bad, kid. Give me about 4 of those by month.
First time I heard that one.
No, his song was actually the song that was playing during the game.
Oh, the elevator.
Actually, I think this might be an out-of-date build. I mean, all
Yeah.
the gameplay's the same, but like the
Alright.
music isn't.
For one thing, the spiders are different.
Yeah. But yeah.
And we don't have the replay.
I didn't see any mole men.
Yeah, they weren't. I didn't make it in the game yet.
Oh, okay, okay.
It was ran out of time.
Show a blue screen.
Cool.
Now the money, do you have something you're gonna be able to purchase, or is it just high score?
Right now it's just high score, but ideas for expansion, like you could upgrade your building. Since you kind of own it. So.
Anyone have any questions? I just want to say, guys, this looks amazing.
I want Escalator DLC.
Wouldn't escalators be competition to elevators?
I don't know. They might be competition. There might be some mole influences in those.
All right.
Are you gonna
That's-
upgrade three elevators next?
Yeah, the original idea was. But the original idea was like we can pretty much put as many elevators as we want there. So when we originally like brainstormed the idea, we were just thinking like you have like 10 elevators and you're just completely overwhelmed. But for the demo, we just went with 2. But there can be as many as you want. I could just fill the screen up with elevators if that makes you happy.
Cool.
Monkeys do anything special?
The original idea for the monkeys was that they'd press all the buttons, but we didn't get that in.
So the lizard people don't seem that bad in this game.
They're not bad. They're benevolent.
World's evilest boss.
Benevolent, yeah. Well, I mean,
Wouldn't every boss want that?
he's a boss.
Okay, that's true.
Lawful evil.
I don't think you understand. The lizard people are good guys.
Okay.
They do run the elevators.
They run the elevators. They just want us to live our lives. They might want to control the world, but see who doesn't.
Hey, they might control.
Is that their logo in the back there?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Well, looks badass.
Thanks.
I love it. All right, next up.
That's a great title screen.
You guys should bring up a gamepad. Yeah. We don't have one here.
That one's broken. We're trying to.
Oh, you're uploading a.
Pictures.
Go later.
Oh, yeah, sure.
yeah, okay.
All right. All right, they got to update their build. They're going to go later. I guess next up, it can be us. I have to download the...
Do you mind? Showing me?
Not yet. Yeah.
You want to play?
Yeah. Should I just try closing it?
Yeah, just try closing it.
All right, so our game is the Japanese Police Riders, and originally we want. Whoa, shit, that's really loud. The original idea is that you were gonna jump between vehicles, but we didn't. Unfortunately, we didn't get enough time to build it in. So currently, you have this pissed off meter at the top left, and the more that gets filled up, the more often the police officers are going to try to get you off. So you guys see that little blinking light, and then he'll kind of like push you to the side and cause you to go haywire. As the meter fills up, that'll start happening more and more often. So the goal of the game is to try to survive as long as possible and not die. And the whole thing is that the police officer is just going to make your life very difficult. Like there. But you know, there are some power-ups that come around now and then to calm him down or to slow down the rate of traffic. But we did not get as many features as we wanted to, and I think that's just a good example of making games is hard and takes a lot of time. But I'm really happy with it, how this turned out. This actually plays pretty well on the phone. It feels good to drive around the cop.
Just restarting my computer.
And I thought the shoving would be really annoying because it takes control away from the player. But it's really not that bad if the player knows it's coming and can avert it, right? Because after a while, you sort of know how far he's gonna shove you, and since you have a little bit of time to react to that indicator, you can you could prepare for it and account it. But yeah, that is Japanese police riders. Any questions?
I like the idea that the cop gets less pissed off at you if you get no points.
Yeah, like we didn't have like it didn't read really well to make an icon for tea, but that was like our power up is like drink some tea. I would love to have like you pick up some tea
What
and the
about
cop is like drinking
donuts?
tea while you're like driving the vehicle on him,
What
But
about
it's hard to
donuts?
read at this.
Yeah, it's hard to read at this scale.
What about donuts?
What about donut? Perfect. Donuts. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that. That was too American, I thought.
I thought that
Yeah,
might
that's
piss
not
him off
Japanese
more.
enough.
Sounds like it
But-
might piss him off more.
Yeah, it definitely gets crazy. Very, very crazy. Any other questions?
Sam, what did you build this in?
This is built using Phaser and HTML5. Phaser is a game framework that facilitates building HTML5 games. And
The
if
guy's
there's one
going
thing I
like
can say about
600
HTML5
miles an hour right
is that
now.
it feels just like programming in pretty
Probably
much any other
faster.
framework. It's not as nice as Unity, absolutely not. But doing HTML5 and JavaScript was not as awful as I thought.
Were
Like,
there any
it's-
weird like oddities that you ran into that were like
Yes.
specific to?
Everything in JavaScript is garbage collected, and everything is an object. So even for loop variables like the
Yeah.
I is a member variable of a class, so that it doesn't get garbage collected, because garbage collection makes the game really choppy. It feels really smooth right now, but I had to make everything member variables of
Great.
objects
Great.
so that it doesn't get collected, and then it just gets nulled out at the end of the state.
Yeah.
Right. So the only caveat to JavaScript is garbage collection is a huge problem,
Yeah.
and it makes the gameplay feel really choppy. Even the slightest choppiness makes the whole thing feel awful
Yeah.
because of the way that we do the scrolling.
Yeah.
But
How did you do the scrolling? Is it just
it's just one image, and it has a tile scroll property.
Yeah.
It's just it's like I don't know how to put it, but the image is exactly this size, but it just gets scrolled and
yeah
and
like looped?
tiled and looped.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it was really not unpleasant to work with HTML5, and that was a surprise because I thought it wasn't ready. And in the beginning, the game did not feel very good. Like it felt like we were struggling with performance. But after I started like understanding that the garbage
Yeah.
collector was the cause of all my issues, I could then figure out how to address that.
Can you just drive down the white line and not hit anything?
You could, but then you have that. And that is kind of a legitimate strategy, which what would solve that is if cars actually switched lanes, and that's something we wanted to have.
Yeah, there I tried to ride the white line.
It is definitely the best strategy if you just stay near the edges and try to ride the white line, because when he punts you, I made it so that it doesn't get punted too far, and if you're at the edge, you'll just get punted onto the white line. So the best strategy is really to stay at the edge and try to stay on the line for as long as possible.
Can you drive
but I
into the
mean-
green?
No, you cannot.
He'd push you right into a car though, wouldn't
Yeah, no, you would actually push you to the spot between
he?
a
Yeah,
car
but I
and
mean,
the-
if there's a car to your left.
yeah,
or right
if
anyway.
there's a car, yeah.
We could have you explode when you hit the green too.
Yeah, that would be funny.
You'd rather die than,
I would love that.
than have some guy on his back.
That's another thing we didn't have time. I didn't have time to implement last night. A lot of this came together last night. Is exploding. I want to explode everything. If you hit somebody, you just explode. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Any other questions?
Did you guys plan on putting some type of like turbo button in at first to like get you up to speed so you don't have to like wait on the slow part?
So
Donuts.
that's an idea. There are some power-ups that are like stars, and what I'd really like to do, I did not have time to implement those, but if you collect 3 of those, it'd be like kind of like Super Mario Invincibility, where you can just destroy cars. But I think it would be really cool if you entered like a hyperspace dimension, you know, and just if you collect the 3 stars, you'll just like turbo rocket.
Ludicrous speed.
Yeah, ludicrous speed for like
Going flat.
a few kilometers. Just go completely bonkers and everything explodes. But we did not get to that. They're in there, but they don't do anything when you pick them up right now. Any other questions? All right, I think that's good.
Nice work, man.
All right. Next up, we have Gato Bellrave.
Woo!
Give it up. You guys should bring a controller. Up it works on the player.
Created itself and then fixed itself.
That's amazing.
48 hours.
Unity.
Did you just export with a new build?
No, we didn't change anything. Web
What?
player updated itself.
Well, actually, John spent a whole day fixing it, and then once he got it fixed and was ready to upload it, we realized that the web player was working again.
Lizard people.
Yeah, lizard people.
It was just
If you're ever working as a
okay.
research it a lot.
We're not sure.
No, no, they're yelling nice as they ran out the door. So. Music?
Yeah. Hold the function key and press the volume up. Dance time. 3, 2, 1.
We changed the idea of the game quite a bit as we were making it. Originally, I think we were going for some type of like Double Dragon, Castle Crashers type of gameplay, and Guacamelee came up quite a bit. I think every other word was Guacamelee.
I got ragged on that about.
Ryan was trying to incorporate. We each actually had like our own part that we were focusing on throughout, and Ryan was working on the combat system. He was trying to get a nice combo, so you could do one move to another. John was main one, kind of like putting everything together, and Jason actually did a lot of the audio. The speakers actually moved to the beat of the music. I don't know if you want to talk about that at all. Your trials and tribulations with that.
Actually, with Unity, there's not a whole lot of trial and tribulations with the music because they have a lot of built-in plugins for like the visualization sound. So you just basically attach the audio clip to like the high, the mid, or the bass, and based on whatever object it kind of comes around.
Pretty cool.
And we originally started off, we were actually going for a 2D. I was outputting the graphics in Illustrator. And John had this great idea to switch to 3D using Unity. And a week later, we actually had it up and running. It was probably the biggest mistake of his life because he decided to use the Mechanim system.
It took him about a week to figure out Mechanim, basically.
What do you think of it after working with it?
I still don't like it, pretty much. They don't give you much programmatic control. You have to read. You can't like force states and stuff and transitions, and it's hard to determine when things are done playing. So it just makes it difficult.
Huh.
That's all. But I got it. I figured it out.
After a few days of figuring out that you couldn't even have, like, you can't find out if something is in a transition, like blending between two states, it's not recognizing those states. So if we're an idle and you attack, you think that, okay, if it's attacking right now, we should do this, but it doesn't recognize it because it's blending between the two. So you actually have to test the transitions, and it took a few days just to figure that out.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a state machine, so you have like the idle, you have the walk, you have the dance, but then there's also the transition.
And they don't readily tell you that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It took me a while to figure that out. And, Yeah, that was.
And you said, did you tell them that you couldn't get information back from it?
Yeah.
To find out like that.
So when you have the dance sections, how do you detect if they're in sync with the music?
If you watch the speaker, that's really your indication.
Yeah.
So
when the
it's
speaker's
actually
big, that's
fed
when you
off
should
of
be.
the audio data?
Yeah.
The speaker is reading the audio data, and the actual dancing is looking at the scale of the speaker. So it's kind of a little hack. To
Awesome.
Simplify it.
Are those dynamic lights? The lights light?
What? Sorry. What about the
Are they
lights?
dynamic?
Like spotlights?
Yeah. I guess so.
Are they just 2D overlays or are they actual lights?
They're actually cylinders, like they're 3D models.
Oh.
And like, so there might be 5 cylinders, and they're all like semi-transparent. And I don't know. I was surprised. Like, it's a pretty decent shaft lighting effect for not being like really shaft lighting. But there's no performance at all for the lighting, which was something we were kind of worried about. But oh no.
Cool.
Any questions?
Guys,
Yeah, actually, you can probably answer that. What we were doing with the combos.
Well, it's all revolved around 2 buttons. If you guys played like Smash Brothers at all, you have like a core button and a direction you press. It's all like that. We ended up cutting a few moves, but originally we had a move for everything. So you have like a base button, so it work on neutral, left and right, up, down with that button. We had 2 core buttons, so we had like specials. That ended up changing a whole lot because we went through this one stint where we were thinking about going completely dance oriented at some point. So we truly didn't know what the game was till like a week ago, I'd say. But the combo system, the main thing I wanted to do with it was I didn't want to have, you know, a lot of games have these set combos. You have to look at combo lists. So you press X, X, Y, up, down, left. And I didn't want that. So it's like, how about just having every single move going into every single other move? So you can combo every move in this game with any other move. So you let the player come up with their own combos rather than having them have to do these predefined sets. And it feels a whole lot better that way. And you can cancel them instantaneously. And though it might seem weird from other game perspectives that you could do like this big swing or something like that, then you can immediately transition from frame 1. And this, it kind of felt right, especially with the music, because you're trying to keep to the beat. So.
But back to the lighting, there actually are spotlights attached, so there is some dynamic lighting, but the actual like light shafts are just cylinders.
I want you guys to know I passed this game around the office and everybody's just like, what is this weird thing? But everybody loved it. Like, they loved the snot out of this game.
That's cool.
Very.
Yeah, we had a lot of ideas. We were trying to make it so the enemies actually had hit points, and instead of actually having like a bar or whatever, we had this raver swag that they're wearing. We were gonna have it so it flies off, and that actually shows that they took damage. But I guess we never got to that point.
Yeah, that was one of the million ideas. Yeah, it's kind of a fog of idea. We're trying to part to get to an actual game.
Yeah.
I want like a crowd surfing move where you like jump into the crowd and then.
Brandon was actually working on another character as well. We haven't gotten her into the game yet. But,
Oh yeah,
The outbreak player.
Yeah.
So is the idea to support co-op?
That was
Actually,
the idea.
we have it ready to go. We were planning on implementing it, but then like, I don't know, we had to just focus on polish and just getting it workable and
Screen shake.
The
screen shake.
we have an idea for the boss, kind of like I guess again Castle Crashers, like coming in on the side and like different effects and just things you have to dodge, almost like a raid boss in an MMO.
So what role was the sec bot going to?
The security bot.
Yeah.
gonna be our boss, I guess.
Yeah.
We were talking about.
Yeah.
He's the comedy relief.
Yeah.
But we didn't want to just throw him in just to get it in here. But that's what he's talking about. We actually have a lot of things that we want to do with him.
I know his concept ended up coming up because we were thinking the entire idea was we wanted to keep the party going. It's like who's going to try to stop it, and we're thinking security guard would be a good thing. So actually the concept came in early on, but I guess we just never ended up having it.
Yeah, we wanted to break up the waves where like maybe at the end of each song or maybe 10 waves or so you'd have like the security bot come onto the screen and mess around with you. But yeah, we didn't get around to it.
Well, that was the time when we had like the dance system to focus on. Greg was working on that, and we didn't want to like too much.
Yeah, I know we spent a large proportion of the game, probably like 90%, focusing on the battle, and it's like, where's all the rave at? So the rave stuff came in later.
Very late.
How do you guys feel about having to move from 2D to 3D? What were the pros and cons?
For me as an artist, I loved it. I mean, because I used Illustrator to create the character, and then I broke them up in pieces, and then I created a bunch of planes, and essentially it was a 3D model, just moving the planes around. We did have problems getting it in a couple times, just like coordinates and rotational issues, but it was nowhere near as bad as doing this many animations, 30 frames, trying to do it that way. So.
Question, are they just like square planes where you just have the texture transparent through, or are they actually cut into the shape of the?
They're just squares with what I ended up doing. I watched a tutorial of someone who was showing how to do it, and he was like typing in every single coordinate for each piece, and there's like 19, 20, 30 pieces for each character. So it got kind of annoying. What I ended up doing was after he suggested something, I took the character using Illustrator. You have to go to Illustrator CS8, or I'm sorry, I just said Illustrator 8, and it pops up on the screen all the pieces, and I just created planes right around them, and it took like 5 minutes, and you just attach the pieces to that.
Kind of like a spray gun.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah. So and then you just align them up, and then you can use you can use bones if you want, but I actually just used the link system and added some IK just to move them around.
One of the reasons we decided to use Mechanim was that we thought we'd be able to modify the animations in the game and just kind of make our own. We thought we'd be able to customize like certain dances just by moving like different body parts around in Mechanim, and we never really. I don't know if that's not possible.
It's probably possible, but Brandon was just baking them in. So I guess we didn't go that route.
Yeah.
Potential. I guess the big thing with Mechanim we wanted to use was the transition from one animation to another. It automatically fills in the gap, which is really great. So it makes it look more natural.
And it's a party in there.
And one of the biggest headaches for me anyway was Unity, because I hadn't used Unity since like 2.0. He's brand new to it, and so is Jason.
Yeah.
And we're programmers by nature, so it was interesting me relearning everything that was in there, but also it just, for me, it felt very forced to try to make a 2D game and a 3D engine. So luckily I had Toolkit 2D to help out with that.
Use the party part at all.
Although it's not very 2D. I mean, this game.
It ends up the depth into helping. At the end of the day, I was like, this game kind of works well with the 3D element of being able to move forward and back a little bit, rather than having to do like sprite scaling in 2D or something.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I think the stage here. This is the only actual like 3D model in the game.
Yeah, that was like last minute too. Yeah.
What about the glow sticks for those 3D? Oh yeah. Those
Yeah, glow
those
sticks.
3D. Oh, yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say I was working on actually making the speakers 3D as well, just because they kind of stand out, I think, against the actual 3D stage.
All right. That's got a battle rave. Woo! You ready to go?
Thank you very much. Thanks. Take care, guys. See you guys.
probably just run it off of it.
Yeah, we ran it off of it. There's like 300 frames a second.
Alright, let's see if that works.
Made some changes.
We've added a new thing that's a game now. Where is it?
Man, I want to play.
expected
No, you can play against me.
Dan, you want to talk about it?
Don't.
Yeah, you want to change the resolution.
I got like 1280.
So it's just-
What is it now?
I guess that works. That'll work.
It's LT to shoot for both.
Okay.
This is our game Pro Sewer Polo, and it's kind of a local multiplayer. So it's 2 players. Each guy is controlling 1 guy on each stick. So you can see little indicators right here, and it's basically like I'd compare it to foosball, where you got to coordinate the two hands.
So each player is 1 stick on
so
the controller.
So they're both controlling, 1 color. You can see we added, since the last time, we've added animations and got everything working with Mechanim and added some rough art and water. And there's audio too.
Oh.
Oh yeah, that was turned down. You have to hold function and press the volume up F key.
This game looks familiar.
One of the F keys.
It looks like Final Fantasy X.
Sorry.
I've heard that reference.
It's supposed to look like volume up. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's not much. We just have the horn sound. So, score the goal. How'd you get the water shaders?
It's one of the water shaders that comes with.
Way, like I
Yeah.
can't.
So we just it's actually like a pro only thing. We just cut one of the features out and then it builds on the free version.
Oh, interesting. Oh yeah.
But yeah.
No, you do it. You do it. Was it?
Using Mechanim, I kind of dig it.
Yeah, that was you.
I don't quite get. It has some interaction with the physics system, and I'm not really sure. Like Mechanim's pretty confusing.
So you guys tried a 4-player mode?
We haven't tried to play 4-player mode because none of us have more controllers. The input system's kind of fucked in Unity, honestly.
That's hilarious.
So, our biggest problem so far.
Are you stuck?
I'm not stuck. I just can't shoot.
You can't shoot at all?
No, he could shoot for me.
Right. Yeah, that's our biggest issue now. Is the input system just doesn't work. The built-in Unity input manager.
It's hard to get it working properly with like joypads and stuff. Because
Every-
this is hard for me being brand new to Unity.
So like I'm building on my Mac, and the input settings change when I do a pull from the repository. And then when we build for the Windows, it's different. When we build for Windows 8, it's different. When we build for the web, it's different.
What kind of problems?
None of the axes match between the different systems. So like we map for axis 1 for the left movement and whatever, and the axes change between OS and what controller you're using and like. So
and L trigger and R trigger, which we're using to shoot, they are mapped to one alias, but they also have one axis, but they also have an alias where you can map them to 2 separate axes. So I think it's by default it's joystick, it's axis 4 for both of them.
Yeah, it's positive and negative axis.
Positive and negative, or you can map them to 9 and 10 for just positive only, and that's what I've been doing so that I can just use positive numbers. And now it's when I export it, I can't get it to work.
So we either got to roll our own system or we have to buy something out the asset store to get it working the way we want it.
So I actually I followed the development of this game called Distance, and it's a racing game for
Netronic Rush sequel.
Netronic Rush, yeah, and their latest blog post is basically like, so we spent the last month building an entire new input system because they want to support like driving controllers, and it's just Unity's input system is kind of a pain in the butt. But
so it's not just us.
It's not just you guys.
You want to try to remap the controls right now?
Sure.
Does that work?
It might.
When you restart the exe, it'll give you the dialogue. so we can give it a shot.
Is the sequel going to be synchronized swimming?
That was like one of the features that we want to put in.
So we now have the engine for synchronized swimming.
Okay.
We do want to do like a bunch of
flip those. The P1 shoot and P2
well,
shoot.
You hit double click P1 must shoot. And player one rather. Now do it for P1 must shoot. P1 left shoot right there. All right, now do it for P2 left shoot right there. You hit. Now you hit. So if I just hit L and then I hit R and it just maps it to the same axis, and so that's annoying.
All right, let's do this.
I can still knock it out of your hands, but I have to be next to you.
So you guys started down. If I remember correctly, you started down.
You can still shoot my ball.
So you can't shoot.
Yeah. Our original name was Russian Yeti Paratroopers.
It's interesting because
and like we just couldn't get a game idea. We just spun our wheels for like a week.
That sounds heavily scoped.
Yeah. It was just like it kept blowing up, and then we just gave up and we rolled a Pro Sewer Polo. And we're like, right away we're like local multiplayer. You know, swimming with two guys.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. You're gonna have floaters that you have to avoid.
Yeah, I was thinking like alligators and stuff, and like, yeah, just like
Okay.
whirlpools you can get sucked into.
How'd you guys do the water? Like,
It was the Unity Pro like standard asset, the water asset. So we just modified that. But I also am not happy with it. But whatever.
Oh, it is just a texture that you wouldn't see.
No, it's you can see like there's a little bit of currents and stuff like that.
Sewer, right.
Like I can describe the shader, but I didn't make it. So it's
no, but I mean like the way that
One thing I like about it is it could be 4-player really easy, just one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems most interesting with 2 players.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get rid
But
of
just in
mouse.
case, yeah.
The 2-player to 1 controller is a good like noob mode. Like if you're just learning to play, you both can hold on to 1 controller and just
I think the fun would be with 4 players having
8.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was gonna say have it so a different team member is on a different controller. So
Oh,
like
that'd
you
be
don't have the
crazy.
one team. You don't have one team to 1 controller.
Yeah.
You have.
I forgot what function.
Opponents on 1 controller, so then you almost have like a little.
All of these
like almost like when
shoots.
you're at the arcades, you just like.
I switched to so you point the direction
I
you're
think-
firing.
I think it'd be fun to bring like pinball
Yeah, you can
elements into
switch your
this
weapons
too.
by
Like,
pushing
you know, you hit a certain target on the wall and it turns into multi-ball or something like that. There's little slides that go around. You can see the
There's
ball
8
or
different ones.
the players go weird places.
Proximity mines. You don't want to be next to
That's a
other
whole
people.
other game.
Getting you to
Turn into a totally fun pinball game. Just all together, just go with this theme.
And then keep pushing. It just becomes pinball.
There's a lot of opportunities for growth in this one.
Machine gun.
You have where it's flowing one way, and so then you just have to fight upstream.
You're just always
Or a
moving.
wave comes by every so often with the surfer on it.
Or there's like water levels are rising and falling and it changes the entire layout.
You can't hurt
Yeah,
yourself.
the rudder for the pinball too, blocking the goal. Yeah, that's your goalie.
Look, they look like they're synchronized.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this is so hilarious.
So yeah, a team of well, 4 against 4 would be very
It's insane. Like,
interesting.
you just scored on yourself.
No, I control his ball.
He's still controlling the shooting, so we're playing a whole different game.
Trying to fake him out and stuff.
It reminds me of the 1D fighter. I don't know if you guys
We're like pulse balls.
played that, but the fact that you have to like go the opposite direction to get them to
Or
want
these
to.
controls.
Yeah.
Different movements.
Maybe could better still be working on that one player.
You might be not passing his classes.
Any other questions?
It's David, kid, what are you talking about?
Oh.
How'd you come to the decision on making the proportions of the characters to the screen? some might look at it and
You're
see
hoping
it
missiles
like
will not
they're
beat
way
my
too small,
lasers.
but
How much damage they do? You do more damage.
We just
I just can't shoot.
we kind of just futzed with it when it was in its
Lasers
early
don't do
state.
that much damage.
With it was just colliders, like capsule colliders, and we just fussed with changing the size. It feels too big. You want to quickly get across the map.
I was about to wipe you out.
And then another thing is I didn't want to model high detail swimmers, so
All of these
we did
switch to different
pretty
weapons.
zoomed out camera.
And
for-
any of the shoulder
for
blocks
that.
are firing now.
Was the turbo a decision last minute, or is that something you guys always had to do?
One of the issues was that you could easily play people away when you had the ball, so we decided to add that. There's two things we added. It was the turbo button, and then when you hit the trigger, they kind of stop swinging for a sec, and like that way you can't just play keep away the entire game and like prevent the other guy from getting to the ball. Another thing we added was the ball randomly respawns when a score happens. Because what we were doing, we were camping the center guy. So you'd score and you'd have another dude in the center and just pick it right up and keep going.
I think you have fire.
Think about doing moving
There it goes.
goals.
Okay.
Goals that move up and down, opposite each other as
Instead
well.
of an axis.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they're not in sync, but random will just shift around.
Kill the
randomly or
enemy.
something.
I'll come back to
The
play.
water
Yeah,
currents, they
let's
kind
go.
of float around.
Also, since it's a sewer, I feel like there should be stuff floating.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the middle of the level.
Yeah, there's actually no like water physics right now.
Right.
So we're talking about how do we build that. The mesh has some movement, so we've got some stuff to play with. We could do like ray casting or something to figure out the water height.
Yeah, and we have like
They
a
can't
bun-
follow me, so they're gonna be.
What's that? What's that? Are you talking?
No, they're playing a
sorry.
different game.
Oh.
We have a bunch of like long-term goals, I think, and some of them include the the level hazards and just level design in general. But we also want to drop like a bunch of different variants. So like modifiers where balls just drop from the air, or maybe down from the bottom and they float to the top. And it's just like a hungry hippo mode, just goals in the corner, and as many goals as you can score. That's in a certain time frame.
So
is how you determine the winner.
So Sam, how are you finding the are you getting confused on which swimmer's which?
No.
No?
No, it's still kind of like I feel like the arrows don't inform as much as I thought.
Yeah.
I
agree.
But once you're playing it, it's pretty hard to confuse it because if you're moving this stick and that guy's moving, you're like, all right, that's that guy.
So that's something we've been running into a lot. Also, is it's been pretty easy to get confused. Like you just lose your dude and you forget which stick is controlling which dude. So we're trying to find solutions to that. Like one of the ideas we had is you lock a guy so he's always to the right. So they'd be on like a little track or something like that, or really do crazy stuff with the UI. So that's something we're still fiddling with, and we haven't really found a solution.
It almost seems like part of the fun, though.
Yeah, you just like it kind of screws with your brain.
Yeah.
You're playing like mental twister or something.
So you say trackers along the bottom? You said?
What's that?
You said you wanted to put stuff along the bottom to show you who?
Just that like each swimmer would be limited to one half of the side of the screen.
Oh, okay. I see.
And that might change like level design. Like if that were the case, we probably wouldn't have goals far left, far right. But that's why, as we thought about it, it wasn't just something we wanted to just throw in there. We wanted to give more thought.
This is great. All right, more questions?
No.
All right.
Cool.
Up next, we have German Whale of Mystery.
I don't think it's still has the basic condition.
Do we have anyone from?
Yeah.
All right.
The hell? What's that? The bolts get stuck. What is that? I think it.
I'm not talking.
I hope that's part of the outlet.
Uh-oh.
Use the mouse.
Press F11. There we go.
Alright. So, our game is German Whale of Mystery. So naturally it's about a whale who's trying to assassinate Hitler. I don't really know any other way we could have gone with this. So when we were brainstorming, we had a short list of three game titles, and I think at least one of us came up with a stealth sort of game for all three titles. Just it was what we were gonna do. So this is a little bit of techno. It's in HTML5 with JavaScript. All of the art, music, everything was done by these guys, custom for this game. And yeah, so it's a game. It's a stealth game about climbing up ladders and hiding behind things and trying to get to the end of the level. You can see the vision. The vision is basically a lighting system that's dynamically generated. The AI is pretty simplistic. They just walk back and forth, but then if they notice you, they chase you. You can hide behind things that whales can obviously not actually hide behind. Which that was actually the core feature that we were working towards this entire time, was how do we want an image of a whale hiding behind something much, much smaller than a whale, and everyone else just going along with it and thinking that he's hidden. So, you have goofy things like that. Steven's
I saw a whale right there.
Yeah. Where did he go? So Steven's about to get to our other main feature, which is the disguises. If he goes up there, he's going to die, because that guy is going to catch him. And that guy doesn't move. So the way you deal with that... Right, so you may have noticed he's wearing a green lederhosen outfit. So the way you deal with that is... Yeah.
And you gotta talk about
this guy's super obnoxious. Talk about what?
They stand there as long as they see.
Oh yeah, so one of the little tricks with the AIs is that so they basically just have X coordinates that they walk back and forth between, and then make sure they don't go through walls. They're not smart enough to path up ladders or anything, so you can get them away from them that way, or you can just hide. Oh, he popped out too early. Yeah.
Right click on reload.
There you go. So there are no checkpoints. You either win or you lose. Because your brain gets eaten by Hitler, so I don't know how you can continue from that.
Ah.
Yeah.
Just having a feast.
So.
I noticed you guys put the flag as like the first thing in the first room. Is that just to show the flag?
Yeah. So we talked a lot about the level design for this, and since we do have a few different things that you can do and a few different things in our toolkit, we wanted to do, basically the Valve level design thing of like introducing one concept at a time. So the level at the bottom, there's nothing there. There's just a flag that you can play with to get used to the controls if you want to do that. And then you learn how to climb a ladder, and then you learn that Nazis kill you, and then you learn about, at this point you're starting to put it all together with the hiding and the climbing and all of that to get around them. And then on the next level we finally introduce the disguises, and then the levels above that, you get all of it together where you have to climb up levels to get to a different disguise to come back the same way you just went, but now you can get somewhere else because you have a different outfit, things like that. Yeah, so it's really the content we have so far is really 3 levels. It's about 10 floors, I think, but it's really 3 levels of like difficulty progression. Oh, and here we have finally gotten to the lederhosen, so you can see.
All right.
I like the fact that his arms are covered up with just his bottom half, bottom third of the body.
Wait, he has a problem with you?
Yeah, because his outfit doesn't match. So it's
I see.
So once you have the lederhosen on, you can like blend in with the lederhosen guards, so they won't bother you.
Okay.
But the guys in uniform still will. That's the wrong one.
Yeah. And the music changes too.
And the music changes with the outfits. Yeah, so now we can get past there. Where if he had tried to come up this way before, he would have just instantly died. And the other complexity to the AIs, well, that guy's trying to path off the screen. I'm not sure what that is. But once one of them on a level spots you, everyone on that level then knows about you, so they'll all just converge on you. So that level that he just passed with the trees, there's 3 of them total wandering around, and they all have different areas that they patrol. But yeah, here they all come. And they'll give up.
Oh, is that Hitler?
No.
Oh.
That's just a Nazi in a suit. And so the guy in the suit will never leave that ladder on the left is how you get to the end game.
Oh, so you have to get a suit.
So you have to get a suit to be able to get past him, just like you had to get the Lederhosen to be able to get to this point. There you go. Yeah, and there's another Lederhosen guy here.
But you can't take the same way back if you get the...
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So this guy is still your friend, but as soon as you pick that thing up, he won't be anymore.
Go!
And the music changes again. Right.
We're almost the same.
Yeah.
We look exactly the same.
Right. And again, it's just this bizarreness of hiding in plain sight next to people. I mean, that image right there again is what the whole game was made to create, was the whale wearing a monocle and blending into a fancy dress party.
So when I was playing this game and trying it out for the first time, I couldn't figure out that you could hide behind things.
Yeah, well, it needs a tutorial or instructions of controls or something like that, and we put that at lowest priority because we figured we'd be here to demo it, so we can just kind of tell you that, oh yeah, you can hide behind things. So there's actually a bug here at the late game. That's Hitler, and if you get to him, you win, but if you actually... Oh, it worked!
Hey, it worked.
It worked, look at that.
Yeah!
Alright. So that was German Whale of Mystery, and now you've seen all the puzzles, so you have no reason to play it. But yeah, so it's all built from scratch. We did it in a month. It works. None of us had ever made a game before, so that's cool.
Oh wow, great.
And, yep.
Cool.
There it is.
What you guys use again to make the game?
It's made in HTML5 with JavaScript. It's on my GitHub. My GitHub account is JFMatt, JFMATT, so you can see the code if you want. Yeah, we'll do that. We'll do that too. There's also the link from the list of games. The link goes to here, and you can get to the GitHub page from there. But yeah, we'll do that. The only external libraries we used a tiny bit of jQuery just to grab the key presses. I used Underscore, which is just a JavaScript utility library. And we used Pixie as our renderer, which is actually the renderer part of Phaser. We looked at Phaser at the beginning, and we're just not convinced that it was going to provide any value at the level it was at. It didn't seem very mature. It's not documented at all, which I'm sure you found. And I mean, we looked at a few other libraries, but so I mean, we don't have any physics. Right? We have basic object collision, but we don't, there's no gravity in this game. You just kind of slide left, right, and up and down because that's all we need. So a lot of the real frameworks, we felt like were going to be overkill, so we just did it from scratch because it was easier at that point than trying to force something to be something it wasn't.
I think you're dead.
Yeah, you're stuck.
What's your overall thought on using JavaScript?
What's that?
What's your overall thought on using JavaScript?
Well, I use JavaScript as my default go-to language now. It's what I do at work, and Node has pretty much replaced Python for me for most purposes, hacking up one-off scripts to parse through a bunch of files, things like that. JavaScript is just kind of what I do. So
for game development,
I enjoy it.
It might be a little immature. I think.
Yeah. The main thing I think we had problems with was keeping the code organized. It's spaghettis in a hurry if you're not careful with it. And we had a couple of rounds of just writing features and then consolidating it all back in, and writing features and consolidating it all back in, which I'm sure you can get in any language, but something as fluid as JavaScript is especially prone to that. Which again is a blessing and a curse. It's nice to be able to prototype like that, but then once you get to the point where, okay, we need all this to work together again, it takes a little bit of work.
To be clear though, that's not a fault of the language as much as, you know, it's just something that JavaScript allows you to do very easily.
Right.
Create spaghetti code because it's not object oriented or statically typed. You know, you just kind of, it lets you do that so you could do it, and
yeah,
you can end up in that situation.
There's some browser issues also. So we ran into like some sounds only working in Chrome and not in Safari, for instance. So like if you were doing it in C#, you wouldn't ever have that issue.
Yeah.
I run in Firefox.
What? You couldn't get it to run in Firefox. What OS are you on?
Windows.
Windows. That's interesting. Because I
don't know if I had JavaScript.
Well, that would definitely do it. One thing we did discover last weekend, I had when I finished up the Vision stuff, I was doing a little bit of performance tuning on that, and because it's just a brute force raycaster now, I gave up on trying to do it in an intelligent way because I couldn't catch all the edge cases, so just like, all right, we're just gonna shoot 200 beams of light around in a circle and see what they run into, and it runs and it's fine. But I was trying to do a little bit of tuning on that, and I develop on Ubuntu, and found out after I could not get anything to run smoothly on Firefox that it wasn't my fault. It's just that the canvas renderer in Firefox for Ubuntu is straight up broken. And this is like a known bug that I found out about after I went and searched for it, that like the double buffering that it does on the canvas, it actually like quadruple buffers, and just nothing runs smoothly. It's choppy, it drops frames, it's awful.
Yeah, so those are the kinds of things
those sort of
might
things
run
is
into
like, yeah.
that you wouldn't run into on a more mature platform. So.
Yeah. Generally, if you're only targeting, basically if you're targeting Chrome on Windows, you'll generally be okay. It's when you try to do everything else that it gets hairier. But
so what happens when you walk off the ledge there? I don't think I've seen that.
Well, it's
Oh.
The most
yeah,
awful
it's
thing.
it's bounding box collision.
Yeah.
So you can keep going until none of you is on the ledge.
Oh,
So
okay.
basically, as long as a fin is hanging out over the ledge, which is like, it only happens twice in the levels we have so far,
Yeah.
so it wasn't worth dealing with.
His mask, his shape is huge.
Yeah.
Dave, he's a veil of mystery.
Yeah.
He has a whole few mysteries himself.
Yeah. I mean, you get a few weird artifacts like that. Like you can climb down because the bounding box has to include his entire snout, which sticks out way
Yeah.
off of his torso. You can climb ladders when you're very clearly not on the ladder. If you want to do that, like you basically just go straight up from where you are. I
I could
think.
probably do that here.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just it's just an artifact of the way the boxes are, and it's like it's
Yeah.
you can exploit it if you want to. It wasn't worth fixing
Mhm.
because it happens.
Where'd he go?
Do you guys have a level editor or something to build these guys?
We do not, unfortunately. That would be a nice
That would be
next
awesome.
feature. We had thrown around for a while the idea of just having like JSON files that represented all of the objects, things like that. What we have is basically that. I mean, we have factories for all the objects that you just pass them, an X and Y and a type basically. But it's all hard coded in there for now. Level editor would be nice. We would need a few other things like being able to actually separate it out into different levels that were loaded at different times. Because right now it's just all one world that gets loaded up at the beginning.
There are like external level editor programs that you could like export in JSON
Yeah,
or XML.
we probably could.
I don't know. There's one that's recommended for if you're working with Cocoa Tree on like the iPhone. They recommend using this specific. It's like TileX or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
well that's the other thing is this isn't tiles. It's not tiles, and we looked at a couple. I at least looked at a couple of those when we were getting started, and again it was like we felt like tiles were going to be overkill for what we needed, so we didn't have that really on the plate. And then
But the bigger the level you have, the more we need that.
right.
I think that this game is like an exercise in design. Like this is a perfect prototype because you were like, can we make a game about a whale hiding behind things and make it look weird and funny? And yes, I think that is a very successful prototype that let you answer that question. It's really solid.
Glad you like it. That's basically what we set out to do. So there it is.
Congrats on your first awesome successful game.
Oh. F11. Or escape. Whichever one.
All right.
Joe.
Next up, Flamboyant Battle Boy.
All right.
Woo.
You want to play? Alright, this is Flamboyant Battle Boy.
Oh.
You want to lower the volume or?
Well, I'm trying to make it full screen. Doesn't seem to want to go.
Oh, F11 doesn't.
Click on the browser. I mean that's it.
Yeah. Okay. Oh wait a minute.
Oh, go full screen. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, you know.
Oh well.
God. This is
Not
not
today.
meant to
I
be
wanna
that.
risk it.
Okay.
You can play the mouse.
Oh yeah, sweet. Alright.
So in Flamboyant Battle Boy, you are the Prince of Fabulosity. You've been sent to the Drab Dimension to battle the corporate monsters and to beautify the world, which you do by pummeling them with the baton. And so you earn points and you can unlock pretty stuff. You can unlock some more abilities and some longer combos if you get good enough.
How many pieces of flair are you allowed to have at the start?
What's that?
How many pieces of flair are you allowed to have at the start?
In theory 5, we've only actually implemented 2 of those right now, which are the parts when the enemies die and his magic rainbow trail. You just unlocked a double jump here, so you can now get up to the 2nd level of corporate monsters.
Seems like you're standing on invisibility.
It was
Is that on
meant
purpose?
to line up with the rooftops.
Oh, I gotcha.
I like the turning animation. It has that Paper Mario-esque.
Right.
So what's the end goal of is it to just like clear out the whole level? Or to get all the power-ups?
Yeah, it's right now the way you win is you get 100,000 points for the whole game, or not? What did we change it to?
30,000.
So to do that, you can just keep getting more power-ups to make your life easier. We'll get around to making the rest of them, so that there'll be some actual point to getting them. But right now, yeah, pretty much just kill as many corporate monsters as you can. And something else that we didn't quite get around to implementing completely is that as you kill more monsters and get more points in the level, the background actually gains some color and saturation.
Ah.
And there's some more particle effects that come in at certain point thresholds. So it starts off almost black and white, and so I think we just reached a point threshold here. So the background changes, the music changes, you get some ambient particle effects, and yeah,
It's so crazy, like interesting implementation.
Did like the menu, like the upgrade menu system.
What's that?
I like the upgrade menu system.
Oh.
Did you mess with the 4.3 animation, like the 2D stuff at all? Did anyone mess with the 4.3?
That came out like a week before this was over, and we were just like,
I saw that recently.
yeah.
It was like a week ago.
I didn't know how new it was. I just saw it.
I just knew that if I started messing with that, that would crash everything we'd done so far. So I was just like, I can wait till after this is done to play with that stuff.
Did you use any framework for GUI?
Just whatever Unity's built-in stuff is. This is all happening in the OnGUI. Most of this is labels. The actual icons here are actually planes, so that I could adjust the opacity to make them light up. But everything else is just GUI labels and buttons.
How can you get up to 30,000?
It's cumulative.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, so that's your level score. At the end, it'll have like a total score. Also, winning right now is kind of anticlimactic. Just because all it says is you win. I mean, there will be lots of rainbows and unicorns and awesomeness. What?
Double rainbow?
Maybe even a triple rainbow.
Man, I kind of want to see the other jazz modes. Like, what do they do?
Nothing.
Gotcha.
That was one of the things we didn't have time for.
I have one lined up that's kind of like this cool, like, rainbow, like, series of explosions that happen after another, but we don't have any attack systems that would do anything with that right now, so
I feel like
didn't put that in there
friends, like other flamboyant friends.
Save that for the sequel, man.
Like a multiplayer or just like more fab friends running around with him?
There's like other fab things, unicorns and rainbow bears.
I like the art style of the sprites.
Trolls come out.
I think we'd like to have a variety of monsters, and over up on the top right there's like a secret exit area that would in theory have a boss monster type thing up there, but that's just on the long list of things we didn't quite get to.
I kind of feel like the corporate monsters should be fabbed up when you beat them instead of dying. They just like jump off the screen, you know, with a better life.
The screen shows them all like dancing and wearing leisure suits.
Maybe they become your fab friends after you pummel them.
Yeah,
enough
maybe
times.
they jump into the background and dance.
That would be fun. How close are you to 30,000?
I'm halfway.
What was the
It is. It's interesting that all the enemies just like are on the same spot. I wish there was like generated randomly enemies.
They kind of have to be in kind of contained areas so they don't fall off their invisible platforms.
For the sake of demo now, I'm just smashing the special attack, which almost instant kills them.
If you get them right to the edge of dying and then like special attack with your combo multiplier, you get a lot of points.
I really dig the character art. It's really nice.
Yeah, our artists are not here today, but they did good work.
Well, didn't you do the background?
No, I actually didn't do any art for this.
Oh,
Actually,
okay.
I did the particle effects. This
Oh.
is my art contribution. But we figured 3 artists in one program was not a good balance. So I did coding for this.
What was your biggest challenge, do you think?
I mean, this is my second Unity project, so, and the first one I'd done many months ago. So I think just remembering how to do anything, and also GUI programming, I hate doing that.
And you're using the stock GUI
Yeah,
stuff. That's
I'm sure there's better things out there, but the amount of time I wanted to spend learning something versus doing something.
Yeah.
Do you guys have any ideas to like reduce the repetitiveness of the game? Because
Basically, it's the power-ups, and one of the things we wanted to do was, I mean, this is pretty much a vertical slice. what we wanted to do was make the level much longer and give the player health, so that the limiting factor isn't you killing the enemies, it's the enemies killing you and you not finishing the level. The win condition would then be actually finishing it rather than reaching a score threshold. So the power-ups would allow you to more easily get through more of the level.
Gotcha.
Also increasing like the strength of the enemies as the level increased. So that way you aren't just continually playing the same section, you're getting progressively farther each time.
So they do it as much more vertically, and secret paths that you can find with certain power-ups, and many more things on the wanted list. We are gonna have a discussion about that.
I think the platforms that the enemies stand on, I think you should do like the Super Mario with like the dotted, the question mark until you unlock something. Because it's really hard to tell where they're standing, even though it just seems like someone said earlier, it looks like you're just standing in the air.
Yeah, I know that like Metroid Fusion highlights all their platforms with a subtle red.
Yeah, we talked
to
about
kind of
having the
cue you.
platforms be visible, and we wanted them to be kind of a more happy, discoverable thing than a visible goal. I don't think they're perfect right now. I think they could definitely use a little more work and better integration with the backgrounds. One of the things with the background becoming more vibrant and colorful was that there would be things that are the same value, but when you started adding hue to that then the platforms would stand out more, so that you could see, oh, I'm getting all these points and things are changing, and oh look, what's this? Can I jump on this?
Even if it's a box that has like the rainbows and stuff inside it, that's very like it's monitored in black and white, and then as you get it, you just turn boxes into like color or something.
There's no, you can't do anything from here.
Cool.
That's pretty awesome. All right, congrats, guys. Let's see who we have up next. And finally, exciting weight loss safari.
As long as you don't break the game.
I think it's fine.
Yeah, turn it up.
Oh yeah, that was turned down.
So this is exciting weight loss safari. The idea basically being it's a free runner, putting in the point system to based on how fast you're going and how long you've been active on the gameplay. We actually had a friend of ours break the game last night at 5,800 meters. So apparently we didn't put the music set to loop or a playlist of any sort. So if you didn't make it that far, the music just stops.
Oh. Maybe just
around like 2,000 points. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he just broke the sound barrier. I don't know.
So,
but the idea here being that you're looking to lose some weight and you end up
it's the most dangerous game of all.
The most dangerous game of all, hawks and lions and cake. Oh my. And as you speed up, your character gets skinnier and skinnier, and there's 3 different stages right now for the weight loss. And then you have if you slow down or end up getting tempted by cake, you end up getting fatter and slower.
so you have to avoid the cake?
Sometimes it might be a strategical advantage to hit the cake to avoid. Longer jump.
What strategy does that
So
fulfill?
sometimes you might want to actually hit the cake itself to slow you down if you're getting a little too fast.
Oh.
Maybe you see like the hawk and the lion are coming up, and you might want to end up hitting that cake just so you can jump, end up reacting a little bit better to jump further. So the cake can sometimes be an obstacle, but other times not necessarily a bad thing. And we kind of wanted to be open to all genders here, so what ends up happening is just a random 50% chance on which character you get. Idea being, if you ever had like a menu system, you can set it as an options.
Right.
We ran into our issues this month were basically more just we were busy with so many different things. I had just personally purchased the house. Jay was dealing with some issues, and Alex was working on a whole other team.
I was on another team. I had an overtime as well. So.
Yeah, and so I wanted to go into it as focusing more about just, we had discussions at the beginning on let's just focus on the main things just to get the game running. We didn't want to overscope or go into scope creep in any sort of form, so it was just, we just got to get the characters running on the screen. The backgrounds came in about a week ago. So there's a few, it's been a challenge. It's Jay and mine, basically our first complete game or complete project we've done so far, and our first experience with Unity.
Are the lines like intentionally hard to see at first?
At first, when we were designing the idea of where they would be, they were actually supposed to be higher up. Or I think one of the early builds, they actually stayed in their yellow animation, so it was a lot easier to see them. But we fixed their animation. We found it was sort of like nice that I had the idea that it's almost like stealth, like it's trying to hunt you down. Yeah. So you have to be very, very perceptive about the dangers in front of you. Right. You can't just be reacting to something coming up on screen. I think there's 6 different layers right now in the Parallax.
Yep, 6.
And we have 3 songs. We have one little Easter egg song that has a 1% chance of coming up. So I don't think, congrats if you end up getting it, but I don't think it's going to be a tough time to get it. It's more of a cartoony feel, but we wanted to stick with a safari type, tribal type music here. No, you can't eat the hawk. You cannot eat the hawk.
Pretty impressive package considering all the situation that you guys were in.
I think, what if you randomly spawn as a Kenyan and he's already skinny in this lake?
Or as a superpower, maybe. And it comes in, you tag out the Kenyan guy. And I think that's basically it right now. Any questions? Or if Jay or Alex, you want to comment on anything?
I'm really impressed by your Parallax. That's really good.
Yeah, that was actually like the easiest thing about this game. It's kind of weird. That was one thing I was worried about going into it. But yeah, this is like my second game in Unity. So, well, actually, this and the Underground Elevator Syndicate game. So yeah, I'm pretty new to Unity. So there was a lot of figuring out how to set things up. Because like the hardest thing about Unity so far for me is like I don't know like how to like set the prefabs so they're in a way that makes sense to me. So I finally figured that out. At least I don't know what normally people do, but I know what I do and it works for me. So.
What did you guys use for your animations?
We used the 2D toolkit.
Okay. I think we actually hit a glitch in that one where for some reason it wouldn't recognize the last column.
Yeah, it was. I was mad.
What? Did you have to put a fake one?
Basically, there's a whole column of empty space just sitting there because
like they added a column to the sprite sheet and I, re-uploaded it, recommitted everything, and like in the sprite collection everything was there, but then like once you look at each individual sprite, like all the ones on the far edge or the far column were not there for some reason. So I think it was just a glitch, but it made me really mad.
Yeah. Sounds pretty frustrating.
Again, we were pretty much playing on a blue screen until a week ago. So the backgrounds didn't come in time. I mean, with everyone's time issues and everything, surprised we made it as far as we did. But we pulled through. We worked out together a lot, trying to. Jay would like send me some art, and then I would try touching it up for him or making it more fit the game idea we're trying to go, or so. Yeah, put it in the sprite sheet and everything, and he'd send me this giant like wallpaper size image, and I would figure out some way to push it into the 256 by 256 block that we have. But overall, I'm proud of the first first project.
How'd you do the rendering, the 2D? Is it actual 2D or are the parallax
we just
different?
the parallax, they're all at different Z's. I mean, they're not really at different Z's. Well, I guess they are, but like, it's not like noticeable because like I think the way the 2D toolkit does it, like, you have like a certain view plane or something, like distance, and like it's so small that it doesn't really change like the 2D appearance of it, but that's how you just like layer things. But I mean, they're pretty much all at the same Z. Like, they're like 0.01 units off. So
I think there's 4 different layers.
But you use 2D toolkit.
yeah, and I think these two, they're just static, and then the rest of them I just apply different velocities to them.
Yeah, we had a lot of ideas in the early time to even talk about changes between night and day, or as the character was heavier, the screen would have less hue, and as you got skinnier, you would end up having more color show. To sort of give you more reward to stay in the thinner body. But you know, again, we wanted to avoid the scope creep and everything, so we just tried to focus down on what exactly we needed in order to get the game done. So that, I mean, the game itself was pretty much well designed from the start, and we just held to our guns on just getting the bare minimum done, and not try to overinflate the animation, the time spent on the animations or the sprites or background or anything like that.
Cool. Alright, guys. I think that's the last game. I want to thank you all for